What's going on, guys? It's your boy Adjen back again for another Alchemy Stars video, and for today it's the usual should you summon video because we have a new RR banner that is coming up which will feature 6 stars Ruby and 5 stars Kleken and Leona. So should you summon for this banner for Ruby? Let's take a look at Ruby. Ruby is a 6 star water cross style converter. And she is really good. Ruby might be better for beginners or players who played were not a day one player or are not a veteran, because getting BT3 Ruby is much easier than getting MBT Barton technically. Because if you are a veteran player, you probably have a MBT Barton. But if you are a newish player, then you don't have an MBT Barton for sure. So having a preemptive cross-style converter is really good for your account. And Ruby, you can already get her preemptive strike on BT3, which is pretty nice, pretty pog. As you can see here, you only need 2 copies of Ruby for her to have her preemptive strike. The first copy and then the first dupe. Luckily, I already have a preemptive Ruby, that is why I will be skipping this banner. But if you don't have a MBT Barton and you are very far from reaching an MBT Barton, then summoning for Ruby is not a bad idea. But take note, guys, as I've said in my Shubon's Should You Summon video, the schedule for the upcoming banners are pretty tight. Because all of the upcoming RRR banners are really solid. Just before the Ruby's banner, we have Shubon. And then we will now be getting Ruby, which is pretty good at BT3. You need BT3 for Ruby to fully shine because her active skill has a very long cooldown at 4 rounds. The good thing with she is also an upgraded version because you can choose which direction you will convert, either a cross shape or a X shape, which is kinda nice. But we are already used to doing the max cross shape rather than the max X shape, but this is just an addition to her kit. And also her chain combo is somewhat like a sniper chain, so at this 150% damage to 2 nearest enemies. And then her equipment skill Slugger. For every 3 times the chain combo deals damage to the same target, inflict extra damage equal to 3% of the target's current HP and no less than 150% of Ruby's basic defense. This is just an additional damage. This is something like an HP cut. That is what I understand from this one. But whenever I use Ruby, what do you call this? I don't see that much difference. Maybe I'm not paying attention to the damage that this one does, but I believe this one is just a very minimal damage. But it is good nonetheless. It is good to have nonetheless. You will use Ruby because of her active skill, which is the cross-style convert, which is pretty pog. And if you are into Gyarus, then Ruby might be your thing. She might be your waifu. Look at her, man. She is gorgeous. Only second to Florine. And speaking of Florine might be coming very soon because Florine and Ruby came out at the same time during their own banner. So if you are saving for Florine, then skip Ruby. That is my suggestion. As I've said, the upcoming banner schedule are pretty tight. We are getting a lot of good banners, and not only Florine, we might be getting Nobio because Tour Dog will release a skin for Nobio, and Nobio won that contest poll on who should Aurorian get a new skin, and he probably might be getting his own RR banner alongside his paid skin. That is what I'm thinking about because they skipped Nobio. Nobio should have come instead of Shubon. but they skip him because of the paid skin. And if the paid skin is not yet ready, then Florin is next. And we all know that Florin is very OP. She's very strong. She is one of the core units in the Thunder team, alongside the Reinhardt. They are one of the core units for the Thunder team. They belong to the Holy Trinity, and also the pieces for the Thunder Exodia. Should you spend your Lamb Ambers for this banner? It's hard because this banner will only last for 1 week, and I don't think we will be getting the skill reveal for the upcoming new units because we are only at the second week of the event. Usually they release the skill reveal or the new units, the upcoming new units, on the last week of the event, and it will not coincide with Ruby's banner, so it is pretty hard if you will skip or summon for Ruby. As I've said, if you have already MBT Barton, skip Ruby. If you want a cross-style converter for the water team, she is very good and easily achievable unless you are very unlucky with your pulls. But getting a featured 6-star is much better than getting a featured 5-star. You will summon on this banner because of Ruby, not because of the featured 5-star, because featured 5-star are a lie. They are very much a lie. They are the rates for getting a featured 5-star is very low. Trust me guys. I summoned a lot on CL's banner, but I did not get CL. So yeah, there's that. That is one of the proof. By the way guys, even though you have an MBT Barton, you might still want to have a preemptive Ruby because those two in a team are very fun to play with, especially if you have an preemptive Sharona. You can easily put some insane combo with 2 preemptive cross-style converter in your team. So the team that I am talking about is something like this. Let us go to team building. Something like this. Where's my water? So if you have a preemptive Sharona, you can have Pilisai here, then Barton here, then Hydrad here. This team is a pretty nuke team. Very good, especially if you are fighting a 3x3 boss. You can easily surround the boss tile by teleporting to one of the corners and then use Barton and then teleport to the other corners and use Ruby. Because in this team, you have 2 global teleporter, which is Sharona and Pilisai. And this team is pretty damn solid. And then you have a double chainer for Hydrad. And usually, I use this team for OTK purposes, first turn kill. And this one is pretty powerful. Although I don't use Sharona because my Sharona does not have preemptive strike. This one is still pretty good, pretty powerful. The amount of tiles that you can convert with this team is pretty insane. And because of if you have preemptive Ruby and preemptive Barton, their skill cooldown aligns with each other. Both have 4 rounds cooldown. As you can see here, they both have 4 rounds cooldown, which makes them a perfect pair also if you have them on the team. Just note that you should have a teleporter, a global teleporter, for you to not overlap with your active skill because they both convert at max cross style. That is why after you use one skill, you teleport to another one. That is how you use this kind of team. And anyway guys, to everyone who are going to summon for Ruby, I wish you good luck and may all Ruby Wanters becomes Ruby Havers. And that's it for me for today guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you could help me grow my channel more. And thank you to everyone who are supporting my channel. I appreciate every one of you. Until next time. Peace.